Okay, so this is the homework that I've been working on. This is basically a robot that waits for a can from a conveyor belt. It moves it to a box. I'm going to show you the code real quick. This first part is where the robot goes from whatever it is to home and starts the conveyor so the can starts moving towards the robot. Then, while that's happening, the robot approaches the conveyor belt and waits for the can to be in its place. It approaches the can, picks it up, retreats from the picking zone, and the conveyor starts to return to its original pose. The robot goes to home and starts the procedure to go to the drop zone. It gets to the drop zone and it drops the can. It retreats and goes back to home. We can see that right here. So here's the can and it will go this way and the robot will grab it. So let's see how that works. These two motions happen simultaneously. The conveyor belt moves as the robot approaches the position. It approaches the can, the conveyor returns, and the robot starts a procedure to drop the can. We can see that right now, and well, it just got stuck a little bit, but the robot goes back to home. There are several safety features that I have added. In this case, the fences. There is a lot of procedure in order to place these fences. Depending on the gaps between the fences that will allow objects to go inside the perimeter, it determines how far the fences need to be placed from the hazardous zone. For example, if there are gaps big enough for someone to put their arm through it, then the fences need to be something like 91 centimeters or 0.9 meters away from the hazardous zone. But as the holes get smaller and smaller, the distance between the hazardous zone to the fence gets smaller and smaller. To make the most out of the floors in industries, I suppose that they make those moles relatively small, also because of safety, but also so the fences and the station doesn't occupy that much space. Also, they limit the hazardous zone to sometimes be smaller than the possible area where the robot is working, and they just confine it to where the task is being done. The fences, they need to withstand the force that the robot may apply, and they also need to be a certain type of height. They need to be as tall as more than 1.5 meters, so people can't climb in, but also they can be higher, so objects inside the cage, they cannot fly. For example, if the robot grabs the can and it does something, a movement that if the gripper had let go the can would fly and hit someone or cause an accident somewhere else. The space, as I have said, there's a relationship between the gaps from the fences to the distance between the fence and the hazard zone. There's also a safety mat right down here. This is a sensor mat that checks if there's something, an object or either a person that is inside the cage, and if it detects someone, it doesn't allow for the movement to start until it has been cleared. There are 3 emergency buttons. There are these red boxes, and I chose to have multiple of them because when the robot needs to be stopped, it's easier to reach one of those that are distributed than, well, just having one in this place, and if you are far from it, you need to run around the cage, and that takes time. Additionally, there should be an emergency button in the tablet that controls the robot. And also we can see these three little boxes, which stand for signaling lights and indicate whether the robot is functioning, it's operating, it needs assistance, or it has stopped, or it has emergency stop, or it needs like serious assistance. There's also these green bars that they are light curtains. What they do is they provide like an array of sensors that, well, it's like a laser beam going from one bar to another, and there are several of those, and they work as a curtain. This is because, well, if someone tried to climb to the conveyor belt and get in, the sensors would detect the object going in, and they would also stop the movement of the robot. Additionally, these doors should have a sensor that detects when the gate is closed, so it can work if it's open or not correctly closed. The robot should not operate. That is, well, to prevent the operation from starting while there's someone inside. I think that's it for that. So those safety procedures.